to Amazing Mind. If you've just joined us, we have as our very special guest, Zari Hedayat, and she is a psychotherapist, and she's teaching us today all about EMDR. Now, we were talking about when you can use it in a therapy office, a hypnotherapy office, and you have a technique that you can actually show us today that we can use for ourselves and with our clients. But it's not how to release trauma. You're going to teach us another bilateral exercise for something completely different. Can you tell us about it?
Right, and by the way, it's not my technique. Again, it's Francine Shapiro's technique.
Dr. Shapiro's.
But EMDR is an 8-stage protocol, and one of the stages in the early part is we want to teach people how to resource their positive feelings and their calm, safe feelings. So most people have in some time in their life some positive experiences that we can recall as a resource that we want to emphasize, or we can help people imagine and create a safe place that they can then tap into. Now, when we want to create a resource or reinforce a resource, we do the tapping for for 6 taps, let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason for that is that the longer you tap, the more association starts coming, and you don't want to start associating because that's when the negative thoughts might come in. So when you're dealing with the positive stuff, for the reinforcement of them, you tap no more than 6 to 10 times.
Now, why do you want to start by teaching someone how to anchor in, using a hypnotherapy term, a positive?
So that they know that they have that as a tool that they can access, that if they get very disturbed, they can stop and we can go to this other place. It's like exiting one freeway, entering another.
I like the metaphor. You know, I taught a little class on post-traumatic stress disorder, and before we did anything, we taught stress inoculation, which is a way of reducing anxiety and stress out there in the world. Or if someone gets overwhelmed in your actual office while talking about the trauma, would this be the same kind of technique?
Absolutely. If they get overwhelmed, then we can stop and we can do stress inoculation, relaxation technique, bringing the positive resources and tap those in.
Can you teach us?
I can try. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to think of a safe place or a calm place, somewhere that you might go for relaxation. I would think of the beach probably. You might think of your hypnotherapist's office, or you can stay right here, whatever pleases you. Just bring the visual of that to mind. And once you have it, you can close your eyes and start tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, excuse me for picking on you, but you got to do it in a rapid succession of, right, exactly, thank you. Now, assuming you have it, you would experience it a little more deeply. You would experience the sense of calm and safety a little more right now. And I would ask you to, in addition to the visual, to maybe hear the sound of the waves or hear the voice of your hypnotherapist. Or if you're using this place right now as your safe place, you might be hearing my voice. And now with the combination of the visual and the auditory, tap in 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, of course, you want to pay attention in your body, what it is you notice. How do you experience the calm? And if you notice it increasing. Now, I'm going to ask you to maybe think about a smell you might smell when you're walking on the beach, or a smell you might smell wherever your safe place is. And just add that to the visual and auditory and tap it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now you might even want to think if there is a taste that comes to mind along with this safe place and calm feeling. And if there is, well then taste it as well. Add the visual and the auditory and the tactile and the taste and the smell. and tap it in one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you may open your eyes and just notice how you feel.
I feel better. Why?
Well, because you just tapped into part of the neurocircuitry that is linked with your positive experiences.
Got it. Can I use this anytime when I'm out and about in the world? May I give you an example?
Sure.
I walked into a restaurant at lunchtime and I saw two of my friends having lunch, two of my very good friends having lunch. Double checked my text, double checked my voicemail. Nobody called me. Should I use it then?
No.
Why?
That's a normal feeling.
Can't you're normal?
But you don't want to treat what's normal. You know, we want you to be human still.
Yes.
So, you know, if, however, seeing your friends at the restaurant, checking your text and all that started getting you looping, remembering all the times you've been rejected,
Yes.
then yes, then we can say this one event has triggered another and another and another, which is really the meaning of traumatic memory.
So you don't treat normal, but if this event leads to the automatic thought,
Right.
nobody loves me because I'm unlovable,
Right.
then you'd become aware of the thought and use the bilateral tapping in order to bring in the anchor of the soothing sensation. Is that right?
Well, you would use the bilateral tapping either to process the memory, the negative memory, which we didn't talk about so much, or you would do the tapping to bring in the positive memories and let this one sort of recede to the background.
I think that's a very important distinction.
Yes.
Yes, especially about what happens when a commonplace or normal event sets off abnormal thinking.
Right.
Yes.
A thought needs to be irrational for it to need to be worked on.
Got
you know,
it.
not every thought is rational, hopefully.
Everybody who's here and probably everyone who's watching knows that research is my co-therapist. I wanted to ask you about some of the research on EMDR.
Well, there is quite a bit of research, and in fact, I'll tell you one of my favorites is one by Bessel van der Kolk, who's a trauma specialist in Boston. He did, and he's a psychiatrist, so he did research where he compared 8 weeks of EMDR once a week sessions with 8 weeks of being on Prozac and 8 weeks of receiving a placebo pill. Everybody improved. However, in the post-treatment follow-up, up to 6 months later, the Prozac people had completely become symptomatic again. They had lost the benefit, the effectiveness of the treatment.
Were they off the Prozac at that time?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so being on it for a short term,
Right.
in the post-treatment study, they had returned to the baseline of anxiety and stress.
That's right.
And bad memories.
But the EMDR treated people not only did not return to being symptomatic, but they continued to improve.
Even without the continuing treatment.
Right, because it sort of makes sense, you know, if you are able to tap into those memory network that were not able to be digested, so to speak, and you're able to create a psychic digestion of what could not be tolerated, then other areas of your life will improve because other areas of functioning will improve.
I want to talk about the placebo people because I always think of a placebo as the lowest form of a post-hypnotic suggestion. Perhaps you might be getting that could possibly help you. What happened with the placebo people?
Gosh, I don't remember actually, but I'm pretty sure that they went back to being at least somewhat symptomatic. But you know, research is important in EMDR, and you can find all of the research on their website, emdr.com. Francine Shapiro has a brand new book out called Getting Past Your Past, which is very user-friendly. It's for the lay people, and she describes all of the research and all of the protocols in it.
Sure. Well, as long as I still have you, I want to go back to the research and ask if you know another answer that I'm very curious about. Certainly, EMDR compared to a placebo or compared to Prozac, did they, I believe there's great healing, I bet you do too, and just having a wonderful relationship with no blame or shame or criticism, having that unconditional positive regard. Did anyone compare EMDR to traditional talk therapy?
Yes, and there's been, EMDR is in a cognitive behavioral therapy because it really targets your thinking eventually and your belief in yourself. And so there's been a lot of comparison with cognitive and behavioral therapy. Some people have said, look, it's really like exposure therapy, right? Yes. You have them think about or remember the memory and then they're exposed to that. But, in exposure, in behavioral therapy, people have hours of homework that they have to do outside of the sessions. And so if you add up the number of hours that takes versus the sessions that EMDR takes, it's really supposed to be a short-term, 8 to 12 sessions kind of treatment.
So financially and just with the time commitment, it is very effective.
Yeah.
Well, Zari, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about EMDR. I know everyone's going to want to learn more from you. And I know that you have a private practice in Brentwood, California. So I want to thank my guest, Zari Hedayat, for coming in and talking to us about her experience and her research. I want to thank everybody in the studio audience and those of you watching at home. My name is Lisa Mackenberg, and I hope you will join us next time when we continue to meet more people and explore the amazing mind. Please stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up for you on HMI Web TV. That's Hypnotherapy Television 24/7.